Um, let me go ahead and start. Screen. Okay. Ah, okay. Oh, worst. What have I done now? Okay, guys, you're going to give me an additional 1 minute. Let me unconnect my... I was trying something new tonight, and looks like it's not a very clever thing to do. I try to share screen, and looks like it's not going to happen. Okay. This should fix it. Now, can you see my screen? Kate, can you tell me?
No, I cannot see your screen.
Oh no, what's happening? And that's because I didn't share it. Well, we learned all this in presentation 101. Never touch your computer 5 minutes before a presentation. So I broke all the rules. Anyway, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Z-Dream team evening with sharing some great products from Sweden. Tonight, I take pleasure to share with you 3 products, that being the Zinzino balance test. You get to understand a little bit more about it. And then the second product will be the Zinzino Balance Oil Plus. And the third, very briefly, is the skin serum. Here we go, the skin serum, okay? Without further ado, let me dive into it. My name is Michael Loh, for those that have not met me before. I'm the founder and principal of Shante Solutions. It's a Singapore company where we do health analytics for most of the Fortune 500 companies and their C-suite executives. So we look at assessing their stress level, we look at their sleep profiles, we look at mental health, and we look at how to optimize them to a vitalized state. So corporate market, of course, is one of the largest sector across all industries. So that's what we do. We base on functional medicine, which is then reflected in the clinic, which is Shante Sanctuary, that I'm also the principal towards. We have a team there that helps to deliver the clinical services to these corporate executives, okay? So that's what I do, and my past history has been setting up clinics for the world and also managing them. So I've done 5 years in Germany in a regenerative medicine clinic, in China a couple of years where I set up a very luxurious, very high class medical clinic for them, all of which based on functional medicine. And personally, I've also been in publishing for the longest time. So that's my history behind me. Tonight, I'm so privileged to be able to share with you what seemed to be Zinzino, a Sweden company, has the motto of inspire change in life. It has definitely inspired me to change not just my life, but everyone's life that is surrounding me. So this is a great opportunity for me to share that with you. Now, the team that we are tonight that introduced you to this particular sharing session is known as Z Dream Team, so Zinzino Dream Team. No, we are not all dreamers within the community here, but we all share one common mission, and that is to contribute more life into the years in everyone's life. So it's not about living long, but it's everything about living in an optimized health kind of condition. I think you understand what I'm saying here. So this community that we have within the Dream Team are all dedicated dedicators to delivering a much increased quality of life to the community that we are associated to. Okay, so Zinzino is the company that we're talking about. It's a 16 years old NASDAQ, European NASDAQ listed company. They've been around for a little while. They are just arriving into the shores of Asia, or arrived in the shores of Asia in October last year, into Hong Kong and also China. And they're just now at pre-launch stage in Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, and Taiwan, and a few countries across the region here. And some which will be coming online very, very soon, which will be people like in India, in Indonesia, Philippines, and so on and so forth, right? Now, the point that I'm trying to drive at by mentioning that is that these products that we have are very, very new in the region. And they are, whilst it's new in the region, but it's not new in the rest of the world. They've been in the United States and also Europe for the longest time, over the last 16 years, okay? So it comes with a lot of history, it comes with a lot of in-depth research, it comes definitely with a lot of successful users of these products. So to understand a little bit more about a product, I need you to also bring yourself to some degree of realization. Life today is like a crazy jigsaw puzzle that we all live in, right? We're all trying to understand what's the right piece of the jigsaw puzzle in order to put together a perfect picture of our life, of our entire story of our life. So it is the same for just the healthy lifestyle picture that we're trying to piece together. There's so many decisions to be made all the time. Which is the right exercise? What is the right food? Diets, oh my God, there are a dozen over many diets that's available to us that we really can't put our fingers down to which is the right one to do, and let alone what our health requires. Half the time, the problem that we face right now, our health is actually totally a mystery. If I ask you this moment, how's your health condition right now? Because you're not physically ill or sick, chronically sick, you say, I'm okay. But really, are you? I think the question here is, we need to understand even from the point before we've fallen ill, is what's the state of our well-being? So much of our work in my clinic is we look at the wellness quotient. So we let people understand where they are at and where they are not. Now we use conventional approach, and Zinzino is one of the most innovative companies in the world today. I call them a unicorn company. Now, in all my years in the healthcare business, I've never actually been onto or into a MLM company. This is my first company, and only because it has fabulous evidence-based nutraceutical science behind it, or pest-based supplements, you want to simply call it. But I'll share with you a little bit about that. And the idea here for the first maybe a dozen slides is to let you try to understand the current state of well-being that we are at or not at, okay? So here it goes. Now, everybody understands essential fatty acids, and that's primarily omega-6 and omega-3. There are omega-7, omega-9 available in the food chain that we have. This slide here is actually helping us to understand what it is supposed to be. Now, World Health Organization, WHO, have actually issued that a healthier state or well-being, it should be in the proportion ratio of 3 omega-6 to 1 omega-3. Now, as everyone knows, and most of you out there may have already started to consume omega oils. But then again, the question comes back to you. Over these years of taking omega oils, do you know what it's doing for you? Or rather, do you know the balancing of between essential fatty acids of omega-6 and omega-3? That's the million-dollar question. Zinzino has the answer to that guesstimation of our state of well-being. So we can't get down to understanding that without understanding our food chain, right? So most of our dairy products or the meat that we eat, in the olden days, they all live on very sparse hill, grass grazing, very natural environment. But these days, unfortunately, most of the supplies that we have, be it cattle, cow, that I have a picture here, or chicken, pigs, or even a lamb, I started to see, also including a lot of farm fish. Now they all are kept and reared in a very confined environment. And these animals, particularly the picture here, you see they're given animal feeds. And in the olden days, they would inject hormones, but these days, this all lays in the food they are being given to eat. Now, two substances that they eat that is really, really high in omega-6 would be, if you can guess, soy and also corn. These are the two base food, the baseline food that they get to fed with, and they carry the highest level of omega-6. So the meat will consume this omega-6 lace kind of food, and it goes into their body, and guess what? We consume it. So we don't really stand a very good chance with avoiding omega-6 because the food supply in the market today is completely out of proportion. We don't and we can't get enough omega-3, and we are getting too much, far too much omega-6 in all the food supplies that we have, let alone just meat, vegetables, and also the oil, which is the most essential medium to cook. Oil are also everything produced, and it's laced with excessive omega-6. Now, on a normal diet, one would imagine you want to have a very balanced diet on your dining table, right? That's what we all strive for. Eat healthy at home. Let's have a healthier meal with the family. We want to provide the best quality of food for the family. But by itself, it's already hard to purchase good, healthy, wholesome food supplies. But in reality, this is what happens. We eat out all the time, or most of the time. For most of us that works, we dine out, and the food that we eat is either fast food or they are fried or one way or the other, laced with a lot of omega-6, loads of omega-6 within it, which then causes this proportion omega-6 one of current state in our well-being, right? It's a with I have seen Hi, I think did my line drop a moment ago? Yeah, sorry about it.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I think it's my internet. So let me go back just once. No, okay. So anyway, we're just saying about the excessive omega-6 that we consume in our daily diets is just atrocious, right? And our experience that we have seen over the last 3 months or so with dozens of people has been in the region of averaging 20, 25 to 30 to 1 ratio. We have people over 60, 100. The other days, another one came in, which was quite scary, it was 93 to 1. But we do also have just a very, very small population within 10 to 1, so under 10 to 1, just maybe about 2 or 3 of them out of the dozens of people, which then really, what does it nutrient? So if there's anything to talk about this evening, Zinzino Balance Oil Plus is the highest and the most premium food that you can actually bring to your body. So that's what it is. And here the photograph shows that there's imbalance of 6:3, causing the body to be in a state of inflammation. So inflammation actually is the largest culprit in most of our health today. Hang on, are you guys there? I can't see my screen. I can't see the monitors.
Yes, we are here. We cannot
And you
see
can
your
hear,
screen,
right?
boss.
Oh, you can't see my screen. Oh my God, what's happening? Yeah, I know. I had a little bit of a. Let me try and do this again. How about now?
Yes, we can see your screen now.
Okay, good. I was talking about inflammation a moment ago, and the impact of inflammation is hugely relatable by the non-communicable diseases that we are primarily facing these days in all our lifestyle, right? That being cancer. I just spoke to a very dear friend of mine this afternoon, and he's got a severe acute cancer, state of cancer, which is so sad. Cardiovascular diseases, chronic respiratory diseases, as well as diabetes are the better commonly known NCDs, right? And that is because these days in the 21st century, we are facing problems like this across different cultures around the world. Kate, I'm seeing someone trying to come in, if you don't mind. And primarily is due to the lack of information, the lack of better education for everyone, right? So that's one of the underlying issues that we face. Besides the abuse, I call it abuse, unhealthy living or unhealthy eating, excessive alcohol, smoking, and most of it is due to physical inactivity. Now, the current state, because most of us are in Malaysia, the current state of public health in Malaysia is depressive. It's steadily declining year to year across the country. The infectious disease may be satisfactory curb like the COVID at the moment, but the rest of the chronic diseases is really not. You look at the population that I will share with you in a moment, is disastrous. In fact, that should be a pandemic call rather than just the virus. The virus we now understand so much about that you can actually manage it with a fortified immune system. But the chronic diseases is everything about lifestyle and not knowing clearly where they are at. So the compass or the barometer doesn't tell you where it is. And Zinzino has the very answer to address that kind of negligence, if I may say so, right? So very powerful pharmaceutical companies are driving healthcare industry at the moment that does everything and throwing a lot of drugs and medication to everyone each time you visit a hospital or your primary care professionals, your doctors, right? So that's the state of Malaysia's health care situation. Now, more importantly, this will be very interesting for you to look at. Look at the percentage of the people that's overweight compared to obesity as well as abnormal obesity in the country alone. Look at what's happening 2019 now compared to 2015 and the 2011 numbers that we have. I'm sorry, I can't read the numbers because my screen is actually today not behaving itself. So I'm guesstimating my slides at the moment. So there are 30% of women during the reproductive period that is anemic. This is how unhealthy or uncared for we are as a nation. Children that are hugely impacted to the extent of about 30% under the age of 5 to 17 years have got abnormal weight problem. 15% are overweight, and closing to 15% of them are obese, which gone beyond the overweight scale. So obesity is a huge problem. We're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, children between the age of 5 to 17. We're not talking about the adults here, okay? So Malaysian population is actually in a pandemic state, to say the least, and we need a lot of help. So there's a lot of dear friends of ours, as you can see, kids these days are more sluggish, and they are more overweight, and they're really not doing enough. And more so with technology at hand, they're spending more time on the handphone, on their iPad, than going out to play, right? Now, 22% of children under the age of 5 are stunted, means they are not growing as a normal kid at age of 5, meaning they are not developing properly in that sense. Now, the second slide here reflects on the lack of vegetables in that sense, the lack of proper nutritious food in their diet. So this is an alarming number that we're seeing. And closing to 9% of population age 13 above reported suffering from chronic body pain. 13 years old, they're starting. If you, and most of us are adults here, in fact, all of us are adults here. Can you remember when you were growing up before puberty, between 13, 15 years old, that you had aches and pains? Never, right? We were running around and we're so happy in those days. I'm making an assumption that most of us are in the region of 40 and above. Not as old as I am, but I think in my average, this is what it is. And anyone that's within the 40 years old and above will remember when you were about 10 to 15 years old, when you're a young kid, we are active as anything. But comparing to children today, almost 9% of them are suffering. Wait till you look at the next number. More than 33% of the children has got some form of disruption in their daily activities, meaning to say they are not able to participate in a PE class, they're not able to participate or focus in class or attend anything that is beneficial to them. But that's 33% of them, which is disastrous in my opinion, right? So the human species is actually disastrously being poisoned the way that we see it. And we are following the trends and the numbers that we're getting. In general, humans are all aging prematurely. I mean, we get a little bit older, but not necessarily in any other way, but our look, our activities, our bones, and our muscular and bone health deteriorates at a much younger age, and definitely chronic diseases, which I'll touch on a little bit, right? We talk about intellectual level. The brain health is also on a rapid decline. Infertility is a major problem, right? PCOS is a big issue, is on the rise. Men's is less fertile at the younger age. And you'll probably get to hear that a lot of people in the early ages of 20s, when they get married, they can't possibly conceive. And a lot of it's got to do with stress, and much of it is due to their health condition, which is compromised, all right? So this is a major issue that not just Malaysia in this case now, I've gone out of Malaysia, this is in general across the board. And why is this happening? It's happening because we are eating far too much omega-6 laced food, and we are definitely not able to consume or find omega-3. Now understand this also, our body don't produce this kind of oil, this kind of essential fatty acids. We have to consume them, meaning we have to go and eat it from somewhere. And our food supply these days, sadly to say, is just not delivering the kind of appropriate amount of pure essential fatty acids, omega-3, that our body needs so much, okay? So that's the reality of it. And definitely there's also lack of polyphenol, which is the magic ingredient in the Zinzino Balance Oil Plus that we'll be talking shortly. And all that causes inflammation. Our body is actually very, very smart. Inflammation is seen to be something that our body is reacting towards recovery. So an acute inflammation is caused by some injury, that you have a bash and you have a bit of a bruise, is swelling, or some inflammation within the wound area, and it's recovering itself, it's healing itself. So sometimes when we catch a virus of sorts, having fever is considered a very healthy response in our body. And that is the recovery, sign of recovery, sign of tackling the problems and fixing itself. There is on an acute inflammation, allergy reactions, chemicals, irritants, infections, trauma injuries, burns, and so on and so forth, the body reacts with inflammation. The problem here starts when it becomes a chronic inflammation. And that means beyond a normal recovery state or period of inflammation, it goes into chronic inflammation, such as cardiovascular, neurological diseases, autoimmune problems, rheumatoid arthritis, cancer, lupus, and so on and so forth, chronic fatigue syndrome. These are all issues of inflammation in our body. And symptoms of chronic inflammations would be things like constant fatigue, you are really no energy, headaches and burn, brain fogging, so you look at it, things that very blurred, you can't think very clearly, digestive issues, weight gains, pains and aches on the body, no mood to do anything, and definitely a very weakened immune system. These are all the symptoms of chronic inflammation. And the causes of chronic inflammation, by now you should be able to guess, is due to a pro-inflammatory food or lifestyle that we live, chronic stresses, lack of physical activities, insufficient sleep. And for those that really don't sleep enough within 6 to 8 hours daily, watch out, because problems is developing and brewing inside you, okay? Obesity obviously is one, and all the attributes towards being obese are the causes of chronic inflammation. Hormonal imbalance is also a major cause of chronic inflammation. Hence, a lot of people are not balanced in their hormones, and reproductive hormones are not functioning well enough. Stress, there is cortisol, stress hormones also not managing it that well. And what are pro-inflammatory food, you may ask? Things like refined sugars and carbohydrates, saturated fats, trans fats, which is the stuff that we use to cook, gluten, dietary, omega-6 fatty acids, which is excessive and is everywhere surrounding us. That's the misfortune of it. I won't say too much about MSG, but I think a lot of us are already avoiding MSG these days, as you can appreciate it, right? So why are pro-inflammatory food bad? You already know. It impairs the absorption of good nutrients in our body. It disrupts integrity of our gut lining. It kills healthy gut flora, and it definitely initiates leaky gut syndrome. So these are the kind of problems. I won't dwell too much into it, and these are all the underlying causes to all the NCDs and cardiovascular diseases, right? Now, touching on now a little bit on the omega oils. I mentioned there's the omega-3, omega-6, omega-7, omega-9s. 3 are the ones that is the best of all that you may consume. Omega-6, we do need it as well, but we need it at a certain given level. Too much of it, which is really what we're getting right now, is becoming detrimental to us, to our health. So omega-3 primarily helps to control blood clotting, build cellular membrane, which is very important. So hold that thought for a moment, because we'll be talking a little bit about the cellular membrane in a moment, right? And brain health as well. It helps the brain. Now, do you know that 60% of our brain is actually fat, right? So you do really want to make sure that you have the right amount or right quality of fat that supplies the function and the existence of our brain. So that's utmost important. It enhances brain and joint functions. Fat loss. I think I have the slide later to show a client of ours that has lost a good 8 kilos just by consuming 1 bottle. Now, don't get me wrong. This is not a fat loss or a dieting fat management product. It is not. But the fact that your body is able to metabolize in a much more optimized level, that helps to burn off a lot of fat. Okay, so we get to that in a little bit. Muscular building, that's very important for young kids growing up and reduces risks of cancer. Now, I mentioned to you the ratio, right? You really want to get beyond 5, if not 3, ideally. 5 to 1 ratio eliminates your risk of cancer. When you get beyond or at 3 to 1 and beyond that, beyond being lesser than that, you eliminate the risk of cardiovascular diseases and heart attacks. Now, these numbers are all studied from World Health Organization. So it's not something that they pick it out of the sky and say, oh, nice to have 3 to 1, good to have 5 to 1, and so on and so forth. Every ratio that you achieve as you reduce the imbalance omega-6 and 3 addresses certain chronic diseases that you are exposed to, okay? So these are the wonderful things about this omega-3 supplementation. Now, we have not even talked about the magic partner in crime of the omega-3. I'll share that, I'll get to that in a moment. So I won't dive in too much on this particular slide, but omega-3 is the essential oil that we need. Omega-6, we need some because it regulates brain function, regulates growth, and development, stimulates hair and skin growth. These are all the kind of things that we need. But again, excessive omega-6 is not so good. And then when we are talking about imbalance, the causes of this imbalance, excuse me, let me have a drink of water. Things like cardiovascular diseases, type 2 diabetes, obesity, metabolic syndrome, irritable bowel syndrome, macular degeneration, which is degeneration of the eyesight, autoimmune diseases, and so on and so forth, right? So there is a way to manage inflammation, but you need to understand that inflammation is a big no-no, and inflammation is the underlying causes to most of our chronic diseases. Now, this talk here, excuse me, I'm handing you the key to the secrets of Zinzino. Zinzino has produced this oil that is here to help us. But before then, the understanding the protocols of it is to balance the omega-6 and 3. It has the magic partner in crime. It's the polyphenol. Polyphenol is the pre-harvested extra virgin oil, excuse me, that helps protects the omega-3 from oxidation. When you talk about oil and when they oxidate, means it turns rancid. I'm sure most of us, and especially those that cooks, understand that when we leave the oil alone out exposed too long in the open, it turns into rancid, it smells bad, right? But this oil doesn't do that because of polyphenol, the partner in crime. Polyphenol in itself has a lot of values. We'll get to that in a moment. So this oil here, Zinzino balanced oil, helps to restore the cell membrane. It also uses polyphenol, as I mentioned, and it also has a vitamin D3 and vitamin E, all of which aim towards contributing towards optimizing brain function, normalizes heart functions, heart health, that is very important, fortifies immune system. That's what we need under such awful climate outside, and that's the pandemic issue right now. You want to make sure, and we all understand that your immune system is able to battle off the virus. I am sure you have some friends by now that is tested positive. The misfortune of testing positive of COVID-19. When they go into quarantine for 2 weeks or so, most of these guys have got zero medication or intervention. Most of them, 85% of them, zero intervention. It's left on their own immune system to battle the virus. So it's very important for you to understand the fortification of your immune system is critical. It gives you stronger bone health as we age. Of course, we need to look at bone health, and it's a mood moderator. And by that, the underlying solution that is actually solving is your hormone system within your health, right? So how do you start the journey? It comes in actually a little bit of a team. It comes with the balanced oil as well as the test kit. And how do you function it forward? How do you move forward? It's a very simple prick, one small prick on the figure, 2 drops of blood on the blotter, still in an airtight bag, and send it to Oslo in Norway. In 2 weeks, you get your answer back to state what's the state of your imbalance. So the journey starts from here. And when you consume that, when you have got yourself tested, in the meantime, you start to consume the oil. The result comes back with just not a mere understanding of the imbalance between 6 and 3. As I mentioned just now and emphasized a lot, the ideal target is aimed towards 3 to 1. Most of us in Malaysia right now, I'm seeing them hovering around 20, 30 to 1. So we are not that super healthy. And there's a very small percentage of us that is within 10 to 1 and below. Very, very small percent. And by that, I'm talking about one hand, maybe 3, 4 of these people out of dozens of them. So this report, this test also gives you your protection value. It looks at how much omega-3, so your omega-3 index, that is important to know. So it's like driving your car. You need to know your black oil, your engine oil, your petrol. You need to understand all that. This simple one prick of a finger, 2 drops on the blotter tells you all this information. Your mental strength, which is your brain health, your membrane fluidity is important. I'll talk to you a little bit in a moment. And the AA formation that looks at the omega absorption rate that you have in your system, right? So the report comes in like this, and it looks at the emphasizing the balance between your omega-3 and 6. This report is actually mine. It's a shame. It's a shameful result. It's 23.5 to 1. And I thought I'm living a very healthy lifestyle. How mistaken I am. So there's a lot of work to be done. I'm down to my into my 3rd bottle, and within next month or so, I get to retest myself. We got permission. I hope to be in the region of a dozen to 1, so 10, 12 to 1. And obviously, that's my target. And if I can go beyond that, hallelujah. So there's a lot of information to that. And this Zinzino balance test has been worked on over 750,000 people across the world. So it's not a just found solution. So that's why I said now your health is no longer a mystery. Your state of well-being is not a mystery anymore. You have a clear understanding of where you are at in a normal state, okay? This is the place that they send our blood to, the dry spot blood to. It's in Oslo, Norway, and they have a panel of university hospitals that is working with them in their research as well as their laboratory services, okay? And wait for 14 days. In the meantime, you consume the oil and your health is no longer a mystery. You will know clearly where you are at in terms of your ratio between omega-6 and 3. Now, how do you take the oil? The oil is very simple. Now, understand this now. So far, we've touched on the test, which is personalized, evidence-based, right? And now the personalized consumption of this is calculated by your weight. So I'm 92 kilos fat. So you multiply that by 0.15 gives you the value of the amount of omega balanced oil that you're consuming, okay? So a lot of you are in the region of 50, 60. I don't want to be that small and thin. I want to be ideally in my 80s. Most of you are in your 50s and 60 kilos. So therefore, you're looking at maybe about 5, 7, or 8 ml. 1 teaspoon is 5 ml. So that gives you some idea how much of oil that you take. And by the way, all these oil are also infused with great fruit flavors. This one that I have in my hand is a grapefruit, lemon, and lime. So you have the orange flavors, which I like. I have to say I like that one better than this guy. So you have a choice when you select it, right? So this balanced oil is filled with the most potent omega-3 oil, comes from the natural source and the most potent source of omega-3 3. And these are coming from small anchovies and sardines and mackerels from the Scandinavian oceans at the moment. And why small is because they don't get a chance to get contaminated by the ocean poison and all the heavy metals and the toxicity that is all over the place. And the fish like us don't get, and they don't produce omega-3, right? So how does all this fish get it? And they get it from the very rich algae of the Scandinavian oceans or the larger Atlantic oceans. That's how and why we harvested off these small little fishes, right? And along with it, as I mentioned earlier, this oil is also containing polyphenol, which is a pre-harvested extra olive oil that helps to protect the potency of omega-3 that we consume. Oil turns into rancid. When it turns into rancid, it's no good at all for us. And the lifespan of the omega-3 oil in the Balance Oil Plus is 6 times more compared to most of the oils that we here in Kuala Lumpur have gone out to pharmacy and at random picked up 5-6 brands, and we looked at what they have, and we ran the comparison. This guy is by far the champion of them all. Okay, they have the right combinations of all the minerals within it. So that's the omega-3, polyphenol, vitamin D3 and E that we need for our immune system. Okay, so the addition of this is the vitamin D3, as I mentioned just now. So what does the Zinzino Balance Oil with polyphenol and the other 2 minerals do for us? It boosts digestion and brain health, primarily reduces inflammation in the body. That's what we spent 20 minutes talking about earlier. Inflammation is unfortunate the culprit to all chronic diseases. So inflammation is the condition that we need to nip it in the bud and solve it. Antioxidant because of polyphenol that helps our body to have a healthy cell membrane, protects omega-3 from getting rancid. I mentioned that already. Lowers blood sugar, and these are the few very important claims that Zinzino has to make or to share. Okay, I won't discuss too much about polyphenol. You already know about it. This is the chart. We picked up 5 brands out there, Blackmore's, BioLife, etc., etc. And if you look at the ingredients, the content on this screen, you'll very quickly realize that almost none of them, in fact, none of them carries polyphenol in it. And definitely not all of them has got vitamin D3 and E. And while the dosage of this is a lot higher by comparison, we calculated the dosage by 7.5 ml, which is an average person, and people like me in the slightly heavier weight, 90 kilos, we consume within the region of 12 ml. And you look at the omega-3 fatty acids or values within it is of 2,400 mg, EPAs it's 1,002, and omega-9 is 3,000 mg. So these are all the values that you have containing in the Balance Oil. When you compare with the rest of the oil, we are miles away from those guys, okay? This slide shows that the works of the polyphenol with the omega-3 helps to extend it way beyond other oils. Krill oil lasts for 5 hours, concentrated omega-3 9 hours, cod liver oil 15 hours. Zinzino Balance Oil Plus goes for 35 hours of purity, which also equates to potency, which then also explains the efficacy of this particular product. Wow, what a mouthful, huh? So hence, therefore, I'm believing this guy. And these are science evidence-based. So the oil, again, contains polyphenol, the partner in crime of omega-3, D3E, and its dosage by weight. Now that is the touch where it is personalized dosage. In a lot of supplements that we consume, regardless of our age or our condition, for me, 90 over kilos would take 2-3 times a day. You out there at 60 kilos, 2 3 times a day, there is no differentiation between us. So therefore, you may be overdosing and I may be, to some large extent, underdosing. So these are the kind of problems that we have with the common supplement or nutraceuticals that we get to consume of other brands and other products available everywhere, right? So this is so important for us to understand. You consume according to your weight, personalized. You do your blood test, personalized, evidence-based. So now we are both then very informed as we go forward, right? So this is how impressive Zinzino product has been. Now, who consumes it? What age is it good for? We already know from the founder's family, while he's got 4 kids now, while all the kids are in the pregnancy stage, his lovely wife has been consuming the balance oil to help brain and function limbs development from the fetus level. And definitely when they are in the infant stage, where they need a lot more of brain development, it started from there and right through our reproductive ages, our middle age, into our senior age, when we need much more for our heart health, our brain function, our bone health, and our mobility. So this is ideal for that community, right? So I won't go too much on essential fatty acids. These are 18 claims approved by European food safety authorities. I thought this slide is magical. We won't go through all, but I'll pick up random. Now, the EFSA do not allow companies to make claims of the products that they produce for the mass consumer market. But Zinzino managed to have approval for 18 of such claims, meaning to say things like brain function optimizing, normalizing of heart function, immune function, which are these very important improvements that we want to see. Bone structure, oxidative stress with the rest of our body, normalizes blood pressure, and so on and so forth, are the claims approved by the EFSA. So quite impressive there. So then back to the same question, right? Why, how long do you take it for? You just consume it for 120 days. Now then this is again another fabulous feature of Zinzino's product. And why is it for 120 days? I'll explain to you. You see, other supplements, you take two tablets each time, 3 times a day for as long as you can afford to pay for it. How atrocious is that, right? But here you take it for 120 days. Remember, you've done the test, you consume this for 120 days, and then you do another test. Why 120 days? Why not 150 days? Why not 90 days? Because the body is just full of cells, right? We're 1 trillion, we're over trillion cells in our body. So the cellular structure and blood cells and all these are cellular, is so critical. Our stomach lining rebuilds itself every 5 days. Can you believe it? Bones every year. Our hair grows and changes all the time. Our brain rebuilds in every 1 year. Liver builds every 6 weeks. And our blood rebuilds every 120 days. That's the rationale behind the 120 days review. And by the time you get to do that, then there will be ample of time for you to have a clear understanding of your state of your cell health, right? So a normal person would see their cell to be very healthy, turgid, flexible. It allows good food to come in. It allows bad toxic to get out, right? But when your health, when your body is in an inflamed state, the unfortunate condition of your cell level is that it becomes rigid and is hard. So nutrients cannot go in, and inside of the cells, the toxicity cannot come out. So it gets into an inflamed state. Makes sense now, right? So this is on a cellular level. Imagine trillions of the cells in your entire body is at that state. Now that is a serious chronic inflammatory state of your entire health. Scary. But here with Zinzino, we are hopeful and evidently that's the case, we turn you back in 120 days. We can help you to do that, right? So far, that's everything about these wonderful two products, which is the test, evidence-based, and nutraceutical science that is laced with polyphenol, which I call it the partner in crime of omega-3, which then really, personal claim, guys. So don't sue me, or don't get all these pharmaceutical companies to sue me on this. Personal realization is, does it mean that all the omega oils that we find over the counters to be a scam, because it's really not able to function optimally within our health? I leave that thought with you so that you can figure out, without polyphenol, how would all those oils that we consume in the market be able to sustain its potency and definitely be able to work its efficacy, which is the job that it's supposed to do in our health. Okay, so I leave that thought to you, and I'll move on to the skin serum. The skin serum is also one of the hero products of Zinzino, and it's unique in the sense that it has the capabilities to reduce fine lines, blemishes, provides the hydration that we need, and definitely make our skin a lot more flexible, the elasticity of our skin. And it looks at rebuilding it, it looks at repairing it, and also protecting our skin. The secret agent within this skin serum is none other than the polyphenol in itself. So what they have done is they've taken very good products for the internal health and put it into the skin serum, minus the omega-3 oil, of course, because then our face will be very oily. So they understand what it takes to protect, what it takes to rebuild, and definitely manage the oxidation of our state of our cells within our skin. Now, the skin is, of course, just not for our face, it's for our naked skin. And I've heard some partners are using it even for their body. So, which is great, because then they need a lot more of the serum for their body. So in as far as the product is concerned, it is proven. It works on all extracellular dermis matrix level. It looks at the hypodermis, which is the level, which is the structure of our skin. It works on the dermis, which is actually what's underneath the skin, and then the external skin. So these are the active ingredients of the skin serum. Here I have maybe 2 or 3 pictures. So we have a partner here that used the Zinzino cream, and just in a 1-month period has seen the stain, the dark stain within the lip line, some blemish under the skin, and fine lines are also removed. So this is very interesting. So it's redefining your facial beauty. The next person, this is a very good friend of ours. She sits in Hong Kong, Jude, 47 days. So normally 1 tube will last you about a month if you use maybe about 3 pumps of application. That's what I do morning and night. So some vanity here for me. So for you guys to think that you're too macho for this, forget about the machoism, protect your skin. Jude here used it for 47 days. This photographs looked at her blemish. The one on the left is, of course, before, and the one on the right is after 47 days. There you go. You have a very interesting results there. So far, most of the, at least my personal customers that I have, they found it very effective. So I would urge that you try it, give it a try. And products are like this. Same thing with the oil and the serum. You just need to try it, okay? Get yourself tested and try. Now here we have a friend of a relative of one of our partners. So this is before consuming. Ladies and gentlemen, you won't believe this. Just 1 bottle. Can you believe it? 1 bottle, she has shaken off, what is this, 8 kilos of weight in just 1 bottle. Now, again, I want to emphasize, this is not a weight loss product, okay? Do not think about that. When your body is efficient in functions, it goes to the optimal state of well-being, right? You get that point, isn't it? Don't you? Right? So that's where this particular product does the help. So I'm quite impressed with that myself. And I think Judy, a friend of ours in Hong Kong, mentioned that there was a client of hers that even enjoyed beyond 10 kilos of weight loss in just 2 months. So that's something very interesting. So this evening we talked about the serum, which is very active and very hard-working serum using the secrets of Zinzino's formulations. You have known about this fabulous, very extended, potent Balance Oil Plus. And lastly, you have the test, which is the balance test, where you will never, ever be kept in the dark or in mystery of your current state of well-being. So on that note, this summarizes my talk for the evening. So I thank you all for your time. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment, and I'm happy to take any questions that you may have. Okay, so is there any questions? Is it Nagaraja, Obi Lim? Mark, I think is a new name. Is there any question from you guys that I may attempt to answer? Okay, right. Now, this is end of March. We're hoping by the first week of April, there will be Chinese Mandarin talk, Mandarin session of this sort of presentation. Now, for the customers that is in this audience tonight, I'd like you to also maybe give it a bit of a think about. While you are a customer consuming these wonderful products of Zinzino, there is a great business opportunity made available to you. So do please, by all means, ask your sponsor that invited you to this chat this evening, what the business model and business opportunities are. Above all, please also ask your sponsors what free assessment Shante Sanctuary is offering to all audience, so that you may claim your 400 ringgit free assessment given to you to Z Dream Team partners. So please take advantage of that, okay? So I'm just going to ask one more time, is there any questions? If not, then I thank everyone once again for taking time to come on board to this evening's talk. And I wish you optimum health. And if you don't have it, we have the answer for it, okay? So please contact your sponsor or make any contact through any one of us, okay? So I thank you. Have a great evening ahead, and God bless. Thank you. Good night. So tiring. I know.